Hello everyone, I'm Shivani Dhok and today I will be presenting our work Two Timescale Channel Estimation for RIS Assisted Near Field Communication. This work was recently presented in IEEE ICAST 2026 conference. Here is the outline of my presentation. First, I'll discuss why near field communication is relevant and why channel estimation for large RIS is critical. After that, I'll discuss the proposed two timescale parametric near field estimation scheme and I'll conclude my presentation with the takeaways of our work. To support data-hungry applications, the upcoming wireless communication generations are expected to deploy large antenna aperture arrays to have high beamforming or beam focusing gain and are expected to operate at high carrier frequencies where large bandwidths are available. The combination of large antenna aperture and high carrier frequency increases the Fraunhofer distance that separates the far field and the near field region. This is because the Fraunhofer distance increases quadratically with the antenna aperture and linearly with the frequency. For example, when the antenna aperture is 1 meter and the carrier frequency is 30 gigahertz, the Fraunhofer distance turns out to be 200 meters, which is significantly large. Therefore, this near field region becomes a relevant and an important region for communication for the upcoming wireless communication generations. This near field region brings in several fundamental changes in the channel definition. First, the spherical wavefronts, which were well approximated as parallel in the far field region, that spherical approximation no longer holds in the near field region. To account for this spherical wavefront nature of the signal, the steering vector of the near field channel now depends on the distance between the user and the transmitter. For example, if we have a uniform linear array with n antennas and the user lies in the far field of the transmitter, the nth entry of its steering vector has a phase which is linear function of the directional cosine omega and linear function of the antenna index n. However, if the user falls in the near field of the transmitter, then we get an additional term which is quadratic function of the directional cosine and antenna index, and now it starts to depend on the distance between the user and the transmitter, which was not there in when the user was in the far field of the antenna or the transmitter. Therefore, this fundamental change in the channel definition requires us to revisit the conventional estimation or channel estimation approaches that have been curtailed or designed specifically for far field channel gains. Another regime where near field comes up is the case when we have a large aperture reconfigurable intelligent surface. A reconfigurable intelligent surface or RIS is a surface consisting of sub-wavelength sized elements. Each of its element is associated with a controllable or tunable reflection coefficient such that we can tune the phase of that reflection coefficient to have constructive or destructive interference of the incident signal to a desired location. In a situation where we have RIS aided communication system with base station having multiple antennas, the channel estimates or channel gains are required for two things. The first being setting the RIS configuration, and second being the performing coherent data demodulation or combining at the base station. Therefore, there is a need to estimate the channel gains between the user, RIS, and the base station. This has been done conventionally with the help of channel estimation protocols. One example of the channel estimation protocol is shown here, where in a coherence interval, user transmits M pilots to the base station. After that, the remaining symbols are used for data transmission. Now, these M pilots in a coherence interval are used to estimate the channel gain in that particular coherence interval. Therefore, in this work, we refer to such kind of estimation schemes as one timescale channel estimation approaches. Now, if the number of RIS elements are large, then the pilot overhead becomes significantly large if we consider naive estimation approaches. But why do we care about the overhead being large? If we transmit more number of pilots, we will get better channel estimation accuracy. At the same time, the time available for the data transmission will reduce. Therefore, the achievable rate will go down. Hence, we need to optimally set the number of pilots so that we get better estimation accuracy as well as get an optimal or good achievable rate. So therefore, how to reduce this pilot overhead? To understand that, let us consider this particular system model in which we have a base station which has NBS number of antennas, an RIS which is a uniform linear array with n number of elements, and a user with single antenna. The channel gain between the user and RIS is a single cluster channel gain. It is given by the product of complex fading gain Gk and the steering vector B omega r. The channel gain between the RIS and base station is HRB. We consider it to be deterministic line of sight and we assume it to be perfectly known. This can be justified in the case when the base station and RIS have fixed deployments and the channel HRB can be perfectly known based on the geometry or the locations of the base station as well as the RIS. Due to fixed deployments, the channel HRB changes very slowly and can be estimated over long or a large number of coherence intervals accurately. Throughout this work, we assume this channel to be perfectly known. Therefore, in order to set the RIS, when HRB is known, only the user to RIS channel gain needs to be estimated. Hence, the focus now throughout the paper will be only estimating this particular channel gain HK. If we closely look at this particular channel gain, this is completely defined by the three parameters GK, that is complex fading gain, omega and R. And the number of parameters that define this entire channel is much less than the number of RIS elements or the dimension of the channel gain HK. Now, instead of estimating this entire channel gain HK, if we estimate these three parameters, then we can potentially reduce the number of pilots that are required to estimate this channel. The schemes that exploit this particular nature or exploit this particular parametric approach are referred as parametric estimation schemes. But can we do better? To understand that, let us look at the nature of these three parameters. If we consider the parameters omega and r, these specify the location of this particular cluster. This cluster will either move very slowly or will remain stationary. In either cases, these parameters omega and r change very slowly or rather they remain constant over large number of coherence intervals. Therefore, we refer to them as large scale parameters. However, the complex fading gain GK changes faster and the way it changes depends on how fast the user positions change. Therefore, we assume that or rather this GK changes in every coherence interval. Therefore, there is an inherent two timescale nature of the channel parameters which we want to exploit in this particular work. To do that, we say that we'll estimate these large scale parameters once in k coherence intervals and we'll estimate the small scale fading gain in every coherence interval. With this idea, in this work, we propose a new two timescale parametric estimator in which maximum likelihood estimates are derived for large scale parameters and a linear minimum mean square error estimator is designed for estimating the small scale fading gain. We study the implications of the design two timescale parametric estimator on beam focusing gain. To do that, we develop a minorization maximization algorithm in order to set the RIS configuration. In this work, we shall be focusing on this discussed system model and discuss system model with a single cluster user to RIS channel gain. With this goal and system model, let us now discuss the underlying transmission protocol. We consider blocks of contiguous coherence interval. If we focus on Lth block, each block consists of k coherence intervals and each coherence interval consists of TC symbols. In every coherence interval, user transmits m uplink pilots to the base station. At the end of every block, the base station collects all the pilot transmissions across all the coherence intervals of that block and constructs an estimate of the large scale parameters, that is omega hat L plus 1 and R hat L plus 1, which will be used in the next, that is L plus 1th block. Furthermore, based on the pilot transmissions of that particular coherence interval, the base station will estimate the small scale fading gain and construct the user to RIS channel gain estimate. To summarize, user sends M pilots to the base station in every coherence interval. At the end of every block, the base station collects the pilot transmissions across all the coherence intervals of that block and estimates the large scale parameters. Furthermore, based in every coherence interval, based on the pilot transmissions in that coherence interval, the user estimates the the base station estimates the small scale parameter using those pilot transmissions as well as the large scale estimates from the previous block. Furthermore, the user to RIS to base station cascaded or effective channel gain is given by the product of RIS to base station channel gain, RIS configuration matrix, which is a diagonal matrix where the diagonal entries are the reflection coefficients of every element, and the user to RIS channel gain. The estimate of the cascaded channel gain is obtained by replacing the true user to RIS channel gain with its estimate, and this particular estimate will be used for performing maximal ratio combining at the base station. Now, based on this transmission protocol, we now develop the large scale and small scale estimates. For estimating the large scale parameters, we consider the maximum likelihood estimation approach, where we maximize the log likelihood function of the vector ZL minus 1 that collects all the pilot vectors that have been received at the base station in the L minus 1th block. The objective function can be shown to be simplified to this particular expression, which consists of two terms which depend on the block length or the number of intervals in a block, the pilot SNR alpha P, the matrix G, which consists of the user to the RIS to base station channel gain, as well as the pilot transmissions during every the RIS configuration during every pilot transmission, as well as the noise variance at the base station. For estimating the small scale parameter, we consider the linear minimum mean square estimate, which again depends on the pilot SNR alpha P, the received pilot vector YLI. This is received in the LK plus ith block, the pilot power PP, the matrix G, as well as the steering vector B omega R. And the user to RIS channel gain is then constructed as G hat, that is the estimate of the small scale fading gain, multiplied with the steering vector, which takes the argument as omega hat L and R hat L. Note that the user to RIS channel gain as well as the small scale fading gain estimate both depend on omega hat L and R hat L, and that is the noisy large scale estimates. Therefore, this particular estimate of the user to RIS channel gain is not only affected by the noise in the current coherence interval, but also by the noises in the K into M coherence intervals of the previous block. Now, does this two timescale approach help? To understand that, in this particular figure, we plot the normalized mean square error in estimating the user to RIS channel gain as the function of number of coherence intervals per block, that is K. We see that as K increases, the MSE decreases and reaches a floor. It reaches a floor to a value which is equal to the MSE when omega and R are perfectly known. Furthermore, for large M, K, and NBS, that is number of pilots, number of intervals per block, and the number of base station antennas, the MSE of our scheme or of our two timescale approach is equal to the MSE obtained when omega and R are perfectly known. Then we also benchmark our scheme with several approaches, such as one timescale near field scheme, two timescale far field scheme, compressed sensing based orthogonal matching pursuit approach, non-parametric ML scheme, as well as two timescale near field scheme when omega and R are perfectly known. In this particular approach, or rather this TTS NF omega R serves as a lower bound for our scheme. We see that the MSE of our scheme is lowest compared to the other benchmark scheme, and it is close to the MSE when omega and R are perfectly known. Furthermore, it is almost an order of magnitude lower. The MSE of our scheme is almost an order of magnitude lower compared to the MSE of the one time scale near field scheme. Furthermore, the MSE of the two time scale far field scheme is several magnitudes of order higher compared to the MSE of our scheme, even in the far field region. Next, we study the implications of our approach on the beam focusing gain. To do that, let us first understand where the estimated channel gains are used. These are used for two cases. First, to set the combining vector at the base station, for which we use maximal ratio combining. That is performed by pre-multiplying the received data vector by the channel estimate of the cascaded channel gain. Second, it is used to set the RAS configuration during data transmission. We do that by maximizing the beam focusing gain under the unit modulus constraint of the RAS configuration matrix. To solve this particular optimization problem, we adopt the minorization maximization approach. Minorization maximization approach is a two-step approach in which the first step is the minorization step, in which a surrogate function is constructed that lower bounds the beam focusing gain. And in the second step, the surrogate function is maximized in order to obtain the optimal RAS configuration in every iterate. For this particular setup, we are able to obtain a closed form update for every iteration for the RAS configuration. Note that the update in every iteration depends on omega hat L and R hat L. In other words, the optimal RAS configuration depends only on the large scale parameters estimates, that is omega hat L and R hat L, which are obtained once in k coherence intervals. Therefore, the base station needs to feed back or the optimal RAS configuration to the RAS only once in k coherence intervals, which reduces the feedback as well as the control overhead. To understand the implications of beam focusing gain, of our scheme on the beam focusing gain, we plot beam focusing alignment accuracy as a function of number of coherence intervals per block, that is k. We see that our scheme results in the highest alignment accuracy compared to other benchmarking scheme. And it is equal to 1 when k is greater than or equal to 1. Greater than or equal to 10. To summarize, in this work, we proposed a low overhead two timescale channel estimation scheme for an RIS assisted near field communication system. To use the two timescale nature of the channel, we estimated the large scale parameters once in a block of k coherence intervals, and the small scale fading gain was estimated in every coherence interval. Furthermore, the RIS configuration approach that we developed depended only on the large scale parameters estimates. Therefore, the RIS needed to be configured only once in coherence interval. This resulted in low computational complexity as well as low control signaling overhead. Furthermore, we studied the implication of our two timescale parametric estimator on the mean square error as well as beam focusing gain. Our approach resulted in a lower MSE and higher beam focusing alignment accuracy compared to the conventional one-time scale as well as the far field schemes. As an extension to this work, we have developed two timescale estimator when the user to RIS channel gain has multiple clusters. Furthermore, we have also characterized the achievable rate in the presence of noisy channel estimates. And we also studied resource allocation trade-off between the pilot and data powers. We have also studied the trade-off involving the number of coherence intervals in a block when the cluster is moving. This trade-off comes up because the inherent assumption in this work is the omega and r are fixed, they don't change. However, if the cluster is moving, the large scale parameters omega and r will change slowly. Therefore, there will be an optimal value of k that will result in the lowest MSE. That particular trade-off is also studied in this journal extension, which is currently under revision in IEEE Transactions on Communication. That's all from my side. Thank you.